Sunset Conversation is a live stream project which brings in conversation international are related people.
Hi everyone, this is Sunset Conversations, session number 16. I'm really happy to have Sofia today and I'm sure it's going to be really good.
Sofia!
Yeah, hi.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to
This
see
time
you.
we are live.
I still envy your terrace there.
Yeah, I mean, you'll definitely gonna enjoy it very soon. So Sofia, I didn't give an introduction about you because you don't need an introduction.
No, I do need one. Go and introduce me.
So Sofia is an Argentinian artist based in Norwich, UK. She's doing a really great job in bringing an ancient practice of embroidery into a very contemporary mean of art making. And today we're going to discuss about this together. We already have 54 watchers, so wow. Okay, Sofia, I mean, I would like to see some of your works at some point, whenever you feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
But first of all, I wanted to ask you something about Argentina, because actually I never asked you this, and I want to know everything, why you left your country and why you moved your studio in England.
Well, I've been living here in England for 6 years now. I finished university and my partner got offered a job here. And so I didn't want to decide what to do with my life right after I finished university. So like moving to England looked alright as a plan. And so we just moved here. At the beginning, I thought I wanted to live in London because I'm really used to big cities and I love big cities. And I had this idea of London. And then, I don't know, not only I got used to living here in Norwich, but I actually really enjoy it. And I have all my space here. And I settled and I don't know, I stayed, which is surprising because it's so different. And I used to complain a lot about the weather and things like that. But
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
That must be very different from where you're from. And were you doing the same art practice in Argentina, or you started this in England?
Well, I studied textile design, so I know the very technical part of it, but I hadn't done any embroidery before. I started with embroidery because basically I wanted to try everything I had at hand. And I didn't have a lot of money, and you don't need a lot of money to start embroidery. Yeah. You don't need anything.
I read there's a tradition in your family as well of embroiderments.
Well,
is that correct?
My parents, both of them went to art school, and my mom works in fashion, and it's more fashion than embroidery itself.
Okay.
My whole family is very used to working with their hands. So we've been doing that for a long time. My grandmother did it as well.
Okay. So it's in your blood. Okay.
Making stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's really visible in your work. I mean, I just love the thing that some artists, they really modernize a practice which always existed. I use this definition, to modernize, to make contemporary something that always existed. And I really appreciate those works. So time to watch your space. Can you take us around some of your...
I'm actually not, I mean, one of my rooms. So the first thing, you can see the whole city from this window. Yeah. It's really nice. And I have drawings on my windowsill, but I also have like my big pieces. They are in my bedroom.
I really fancy this piece, you know, it's really... Is this going to be a painting?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think I like it. So I have this other one. This one is one of my favorites.
Wow.
which is
Is it?
not only an embroidery but also a quilt. I
Oh yeah,
can't
yeah.
hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. And then I have this other one that I made
Oh
for
wow.
a collaboration with a brand. This one is actually very big. You can
Mm.
see my hand right next to it.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes.
And now
Uh,
I'm doing one right now that I just started, and that
Oh,
is,
you're using blue fabrics here.
yeah. Well, this is all of this is embroidered and should be, yeah, completely embroidered
Handmade
very soon. But
work.
it's taking me so long. That one.
Absolutely. There is a passion for hands in your
Yeah.
work. I see hands very often.
Yeah.
Is that something to do? Because your work is also three-dimensional in a way. Is a kind of bas relief. There is a solid piece that you can touch. It's not like an oil painting that the people don't want you to touch, but the fabrics is something that everyone can go and touch them.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I like the most about embroidery. I think the fact that you're able to touch the line that I mean, I've been drawing my whole life, but you can't touch your lines when you're drawing. And the fact that, I mean, they are actually very thick and very 3D. And
Yes.
I love that. I love like being able to just follow the drawing with my hand. It gives it another, yeah, dimension.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I totally feel it when I have some nice fabrics and I want to touch them. I want to follow the threads
Yeah.
and see where they lead to. Sofia, I'd like to speak a little bit about art market.
Mm.
The art market is something that makes me think quite a lot, and I'm trying to kind of promote a new campaign which is invest in art.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's lots of people. They nowadays they just waste their money on things they throw away. You know, like I would say, just plenty of clothes they don't even use,
Oh yeah,
and
clothing is, yeah, crazy.
it's crazy. And I mean, not just that. It's even objects, just useless things that they've fooled their lives with, forgetting the value of spending money for something that lasts forever. And I would say art is something that lasts forever. I mean, you're always going to feel grateful when you have a piece of art in your house. You're going to protect it as it is a kid. And I suffer that a lot when I see people spending every Saturday hundreds of pounds in shopping clothes, and when they then ask you for a painting and then you tell the price, they say, "Oh my God, this is so expensive."
Yeah.
But at the same time, they say with a Gucci t-shirt on themselves, and I say, do you understand the value of things?
But I think that has to do with the fact that with clothing, you have older people realizing right away that you spend money on what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe with art, you don't get to show it so much, and I mean, you really have to like the piece that you have, and you really sincerely have to like it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't depend on the view of the rest of the world, which is, I think that is something that affects people a lot. People are constantly worried about whatever the rest of the world is thinking about them. So maybe it has to do with the fact that you want to wear something new every day. So whoever you cross on the street can tell that you are, whatever, that you are on trend or that you can spend money on clothing. I don't think it's easy to make people understand why you should pay for art.
Absolutely. But I have to say that the clothing thing, it didn't always exist. Like when I speak to my parents, they don't understand why we buy this amount of clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, it was a marketing strategy that created fast fashion. And I wonder why this strategy always applies to things which are, let's say, an extra in your life. I believe art, it's not an extra. Art is something we all need. A house without art is not a house.
Yeah, but I don't think everyone appreciates it that way. I don't think everyone is so used to it. And the other thing is clothing or everyday items. They are so much easier to produce and to mass produce that, I mean, it makes sense that is that what they are trying to sell you. I mean, but maybe it is art is to blame for that, because sometimes the art scene looks like something that it's unreachable, or that you don't belong,
That's
or that
correct.
you know something.
That's correct, yes.
So,
I experienced that quite a lot, that people feel cut off from art. Like, it's not something you can understand, you know, you're not intellectual enough. I mean, there are those behaviors that, of course, push people away sometimes, and I think this is not really nice as well. I mean, we all have responsibility. I mean, we are the society we live in. We make trends as well, but I just think it's quite important that we have a conversation about it. I mean, not just us, but in general, what's the value of things? I mean,
absolutely. I think it's insane the amount of things that we buy and that you regret almost instantly. Like, you feel like you want to buy this, and the minute you have it, it's like, why do I have this? Why did I spend money on it, and what do I do with it? I don't even want it. It's so instant, like, satisfaction, but it's guilty as well at the same time, and now it's waste, and you have things around you that you don't want, which I hate to be surrounded by things that are ugly or that I don't like or that I don't want.
Sofia, another question. Your works, they look very happy. I mean, when I look at them, they just show joy to me. My paintings are a bit dark sometimes, I have to say, but when I look at your piece, I always say, oh my God, that just, you know, that kind of simplicity of representing figures with the least amount of lines, it just makes things so happy, you know, so, in a way, joyful. And, you know, people are just saying, yes, I agree. I mean, is that you that really happy and you put it into your work, and it's me that I'm really dark and I put it into my work?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm a very anxious human, and I'm like, I'm not that joyful. No, I'm actually quite dark, but I don't think I like the aesthetics of darkness, of being, like, sometimes I like to be the joke. Like, I don't like taking myself so seriously. Like, I can't take myself seriously all the time, because I get too serious and I get too anxious and too worried and too, like, entangled in my own thoughts, that I have to, like, go back and think, like, this is not so serious. I mean, I'm doing this mostly because it gives me pleasure. So whenever I go back to that, I get simple again. Whenever I think that I'm doing this because it gives me pleasure. But I never thought of my work as joyful before.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. I mean, it really is. And I told you, I just want to have some of your pieces very soon. Maybe next time I come to England.
Yes.
I wanted to tell you something. I mean, there are other things that I want to talk with you about. And one thing is, we discussed this before, and is the kind of movement that an artist has in regard to its audience. So I want to speak about it, but before it, because that's going to be our last topic, before it, because you've been so kind to talk about your personal self, and you mentioned anxiety, and anxiety is something we live, I mean, most of the people live in anxiety, and I think anxiety is something, actually, it's an emotion that it is important as well, when you can control it. And I wonder if you can speak about this a little bit more, because you say I'm anxious, but at the same time, you fight it. You manage to unleash it and then protect yourself from your anxiety, transform it into excitement, transform it into work. You put yourself out there and you're doing a great job. So how do you deal with this side of yourself?
The thing is, so again, I know working gives me satisfaction. It gives me real pleasure. When I'm working, I'm okay. So this is what I need to be doing. But the thing is, creating something new all the time, it doesn't come easy, and it doesn't always work. And sometimes I can spend 5 hours and I'll do nothing, and I'll produce. I mean, everything will be just cheap, not even ugly. Just it won't have any value. And when I get very anxious, I mean, the worst part of it is when I don't want to do anything. I see no reason to do anything. And I know the way to get out of that state is to actually get up and do things, but it's not always easy. The thing is, trying to keep my mind and my hands busy do help a lot with my anxiety. But I don't know. I mean, everyone deals with it differently. I try not to get to that point where I don't want to get up from bed, which sometimes I get to that point where I don't want to do anything, and nothing excites me, and nothing seems like inspiring. That's the other thing. You have to constantly be looking for inspiration and excitement and things to have a reason to live. And it sounds too dramatic, but I think
it's the way it is. I totally feel it. I mean, I went through anxiety and depressions in my life a lot, and I know how it feels. I think art is helping me a lot. I mean, since I managed to express my sensations through art, I feel better. Since my art is doing better, I feel even better. You know, I feel that this kind of thing is just helping me to find a way to resist it. It's not something you can delete, and it's not something I want to delete, because it has to do with my sensitivity as well.
Absolutely.
It's myself, you know, it's my personality in a way. And I mean, anyway, I guess sometimes the sunshine helps a little bit as well.
Yeah, not here.
No, in the UK it's a bit harder sometimes, but
no, but definitely.
There's a lot of culture, and culture brings sun in your heart.
Yeah. Well, going to a museum is something that it makes me feel well. I mean, I don't say it just in a corny or cliche way. It's just it is truly inspiring, and yes. It sparkles something in me that makes me want to go and work. And whenever I feel that willingness to go and do some work, I feel okay. I can deal with my anxiety. My problem is when I don't feel like doing anything, when I have no incentive.
Okay, Sofia, thanks a lot for opening your personal feelings to us. It's very important that we discuss these things, because they really are. You know, you can't avoid them, and you can't hide them as well. So they are part of us. But I mean, connecting to the pressure that sometimes the production of works brings. Even, you know, you talked about inspiration and anxiety. I mean, yes, making art is not a recipe. You know, you don't just put, you know, a bit of flour and eggs and then the cake come out, you know.
And even the things that worked before can maybe not work right now.
Exactly. You need to feel things, you need to like them yourself first, and then you need to see how the audience reacts to them, because there is an audience with what we do. Art is not something, I mean, you know, some artists say, oh, I do art for myself. I don't believe. I mean, art is something to share. For yourself is the process, but then the piece, it's a traveling piece. It's a human being traveling around the world, and it's autonomous once you create it.
Yeah.
So we had a very interesting conversation last week privately in regard to audience,
Yeah.
And I mean, just to tell the people what we discussed, it was that basically we always have to adjust our work, and when we want to change our style, we have to kind of make the audience comfortable into the new style. We kind of have to lead them into it without creating a really strong break, because the audience are attached to a style, and you know, I like your smile.
No, just I feel you on this.
And then, you know, if you lose that style, they don't feel you anymore. Even if you do something really amazing, you know. And what you said was really nice. You know, you said me, you know, I do things that I like. Sometimes I don't even post them because they are things not made for this project. It's for my personal healing. And an artist needs to keep that moment of personal healing. And I mean, I don't know, do you want to say something about it in public?
No, I think some of my work is ready to be put outside, and some of my work needs maybe to stay there for a bit more, and for me to work on it a bit more until I understand the way of presenting it to the rest of my audience. And the thing is, I need to remind myself that I'm not only working for an audience, because otherwise I end up only doing the work that I know it's going to work. And the thing is, nothing new comes out of working only for an audience. So I have to reserve that space of experimentation, if you want it, or whatever, things that don't work, things that maybe end up and they are not good enough, or maybe they are not easy enough, or maybe they just matter to me. And although it's frustrating because I have nothing to show you, then you know, it's just like I spend a whole week working on a piece that you won't appreciate. I think something new always comes out of that, even if it's been 3 months and I haven't done anything with those pieces. One day I wake up and it's like, okay, now I know what to do with this, and now I know how to make it work with the rest of my audience, and now it makes more sense. Some things take longer than what it actually takes you to make them. Some things, they just need to be left for a bit and then finished or reworked or whatever. So.
Art doesn't know about our time, you know. Art doesn't know anything about days and hours and years, you know. It has its own time, which is very different from what we're used to. It doesn't know about watches and clocks and
or
all
about
that.
Posting every day.
Oh yeah, or about Instagram posts, which is, oh my God, it's really intense.
It is high pressure. I mean, it's someone telling you, reminding you constantly that there are other people producing work every day, and it's amazing work, and it's done every day, and you're not doing it. So,
Absolutely. Okay, Hiedra or Hydra. Hiedra, Argentinian way. Or Sofia, which I really like the name, which means knowledge.
Yeah, I like the name too.
Which in Italian we say sapienza, conoscenza. Sofia, it was really nice to have you here. I'm sure people enjoyed it. We had some really good comments already, and they can watch it back for 24 hours and then back on my Instagram TV. Time goes quick, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's already 25 minutes.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk about like how embroidery is only related to crafts or hobbies.
Oh yeah, I mean, we generally stop now, but if you want to say something about it, feel free.
I mean, we talked, I think, the last time about how embroidery usually is related to these sweet or cute styles, or things that your grandmother would do, or things that are delicate. And I hate the way the technique is attached to those like descriptions, because it has nothing to do with the technique. It has to do with the fact that only women used to do it, and so all those attributes are actually talking about the women and the way society saw women at that time. So that's why I try to stay away from that, because
Absolutely.
embroidering is just as versatile as drawing, and so
I
there's no
totally agree.
why it should be attached to only those styles.
To a certain gender, yeah.
Yeah.
Art doesn't know genders.
No, absolutely. But
It's
society
actual.
does, so
Society does a lot, and that's a bit of a shame.
yeah.
Yes. Okay, we'll keep it as, you know, the words of wisdom of the end of the conversation.
Okay.
It was really nice to meet you. I mean, if at any point you want to come back here at Sunset Conversation, you're always welcome. And I hope to meet you soon in England.
Yeah, same thing. I hope to meet you soon. It was super nice.
Ciao.
Thank you for inviting me. Ciao.
You've been super. Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao, ciao.